What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we're providing a state of the market and stock picks for November 8th, 2022. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing, as we do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day in the week ahead in this glorious market. Now, market sentiment. We do have midterm elections tomorrow. Now, the thing is a lot of people are expecting we could get some bigger moves. We did see a big move towards the end of the day in going into tomorrow for midterms. It'd be interesting to see how much of an effect midterms will have on the market tomorrow. They could potentially provide some volatility tomorrow, more so into Wednesday. But ultimately understand that Thursday is really what's going to matter with the core, and that's at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So yes, we are in midterm season. It could have helped potentially rally. I do believe there was other things involved in the rally. It wasn't more so midterms. Midterms do typically hold weight during a cycle, but considering this current cycle is not a normal cycle, I don't really see much of a way to it. It could potentially be what's helping push the market up a tad bit right now, but it's really hard to say, especially because we do have core and we are coming off of essentially post monetary policy. It's still fresh in the mind. Looking at two more cores before the next monetary policy, and we still have earnings. Again, we don't have a ton of earnings left, but there are still some good ones out there. And again, all of the earnings pretty much getting leveled at this point. A lot of people coming off of severance packages, so you quite haven't seen the full bulk of a lot of data either, which is concerning. So, in savings rates, again, being at, I believe the last time I looked, it was at I want to say it was 3.4, 3.2. So one of the lowest savings rates it's been at a very long time. Again, just a couple months ago, we were around 12. That goes to show you that people came out of the pandemic and essentially started spending because it was over, and then we ran into the whole Russia-Ukraine thing, and then things just kind of got nasty since then. So with that being said, midterms tomorrow, again, we'll see how much weight it has. It could potentially help push the market up, which the market needs going into Thursday, and what that could potentially bring. Again, if things line up and things are good, we could get a nice little rally as long as I believe the core is below 8. Now, if we're continuing to hover around 8 or even bump up a little bit or go over 9.1, I think you're going to sell off even more. If we go over 9.1, we're going to definitely start panic selling into a new low. That's a guarantee. So it's really important to see what happens on the core on Thursday morning. But with that being said, that's pretty much what's going on. The market was pretty quiet until essentially afternoon. Had a nice little run back up. We are currently at resistance, essentially sitting at the 38.23. Could potentially see a very nice strong push up to potentially the 3900. Again, being midterms tomorrow, you might be able to get a run like that going into Thursday. You get about a nice 2-day run to do that, I think. Strong possibility. But again, once core hits, it's really going to depend on the number. And if it's bad, again, this thing's going to start sinking off. Now, you could say it's still potentially a higher low here, which as long as we don't essentially break that back down below the 36.57 here, I think then it would still be considered a higher low. We did break this upper channel, but again, I don't really think that matters much anymore. Can actually remove this because right now we got different things in play right now. So ultimately, we want to see if this can hold and where this ends up. But I do believe we're going to top out roughly around the 3900. Again, this still gives us, it's about another 100-point move up with the elections, with midterms tomorrow. Again, I think it's a strong possibility. We could potentially get 50 points up tomorrow, 50 points up Friday, then potentially correct on Thursday, if not continuing that, maybe even to the 4K mark or the 41K mark, if depending on that core. I think if that core is good, you're going to get one hell of a rally. But we'll have to see. It all really just depends. Then it could kind of allude to that whole dialing back to a 50-point basis move on the December rate. But then again, don't forget, you still got one more core before then as well. So that's what I'm looking at on the SPX. The dollar did take quite a bit of a haircut today. It pulled all the way back to the 210 today, which is good for the markets. Again, we're sitting around this. We don't want this to break below that 110 mark. If it does, could potentially be really bad to start breaking trend here. So this thing really needs to stay above tomorrow. Want this back above. If you want to see the market sell off more, I'm starting to lean more towards the fact that we could potentially be at a bottom, just as long as there's no black swans that play out. I think we could potentially rally into February. And then when that next earnings cycle comes around, we could get our big correction around then. Maybe some of these black swans would play out around then. Again, this is more of a quiet time between now and January. So just be mindful of that. So we're going to have a couple of these really volatile events that occur between now and then, with monetary policy and core and midterms tomorrow. But with that all being said, that should pretty much be it. And then we'll wait to the new year and then start rolling out Q4 earnings, again, which I think will really be bad. And I think that could be the correction. But in my opinion, that correction isn't going to make all-time lows incorporating this year. I think what's ultimately going to happen from that is that unless the black swan plays out, I don't think we're going to break or do any kind of flush below 3,600. That's damaging, again, unless inflation is above a 9.1, then that's a different story. So we really want to make sure the dollar holds there. Bitcoin is still holding strong at 20. There's no point going over Bitcoin. It's been pretty consistent. Oil back up to 91. So you're seeing oil start slowly creeping back up as well. Tesla, I did buy a position in this. Looking to trying to add this down when you go to the 184. So I think this thing could potentially start rocketing back up. Again, there's some major selling in here. Tech, obviously. Big concern with Tesla though too is that there's a lot of lockdowns in China, and that can be could mean a lot of trouble for Tesla if they cannot get any cars out of that the Chinese factory or potentially sell there. So that could be a concern there. But again, Elon is very flexible and can definitely adjust on the fly. So in my opinion, I think in short term, it may be headline news that would sell off Tesla. But I think before next earnings, before Q4 is over, I think they could do actually quite well. But it really depends, again, on China's zero policy right now and how much that's going to weigh on the company as a whole. Again, the company as a whole has been growing very well, even during the pandemic, even during this rough time, even with layoffs. I think they'll still be very profitable. But they have to do what it takes to get there. If they have to cut more people, whatever the case is, I still believe they could still be very profitable during this time. And also be mindful that Tesla really hasn't bought back into Bitcoin. And if that does happen, and for some reason we do start to rally, I think, again, Bitcoin could rally. And if we do have some sort of holiday rally with crypto, I wouldn't be surprised if Elon does buy in, and at that point could pull Tesla up with that asset. So it'll be interesting to watch. But again, with Tesla, I really wanted to hold this 200. It's been floating around this 200 for a while. Again, when you got institutional buying at a specific level, which I'm believing it's this 200, you'll get a very quick spike down and then a quick spike up, and then that's just when you get your real rally. So really watching this spike and seeing how far it goes. If it does go down to 185, I'm not concerned about that because I think it's going to be that spike down and then shoot up. So that's kind of what I'm watching for Tesla. Again, it can sell off all the way down to zero. Be mindful of that, and it can turn around and rally tomorrow very quickly because that's the way Tesla is. So just be mindful of that. It recovers very quickly So never underestimate Tesla. That's one thing I've always learned. Airbnb is the one I've been talking about a lot lately. I do like the zone. I've been watching the zone. I didn't buy back in yet. Kind of watching to see if it comes down closer to that 90 mark. I would like to get some Airbnb, as this is a good support here, as you can see. And then you have your stop again right here below the 88. So the closer you can get to 88, the better it would be. But we'll have to see how tomorrow plays out and how the core ultimately plays out there. BA is running parabolic just like the banks. Again, be very mindful. I think we're getting top heavy here, especially if we hit 170. I think be about the top of BA. So you might get one solid run tomorrow. And then that kind of leads us into the core. I think Wednesday we could hover, and then could be the pullback on Thursday with the core. So kind of watching that on BA. Then the banks, JPM. JPM, again, very parabolic move. This thing is going to come down. Even a natural correction, 50%. This thing will eventually correct at least down to the 16, if not the 113. So that's a big move. It's over a 15-point move, and the stock doesn't typically move like that. Again, this parabolic move is not normal. You're only asking for an elevator down, and when it does come down, it's going to come down fast and hard. So again, we're kind of setting up into that Thursday move to the downside. So just be very, very careful with this one. You can even look at this and say that this is a ascending wedge. The ascending wedges have been playing out this year. Anything to the downside, any kind of downside pattern has sadly been playing out. Upside patterns, not so much, but downside patterns definitely have. Kind of an ascending wedge. It's attempting to it, but it's pretty wide there. So we'll see what happens with JPM. But that's pretty much what I got. Again, not a whole lot. I'm trying to keep this very simple because of the fact that what's really going on here is that we got midterms tomorrow, elections that could bring some rallying, and then understand that rallying can soon be corrected by a bad core on Thursday morning. So just be mindful of that. This could feed a rally into Wednesday, and then again drop everything by Thursday and correct back down. Again, just depending on how bad that core is. Again, if it's over 9.1, this thing's going to see all-time lows. If it's in the 8s, that can still be concerning. We may just revisit 3,600. And again, if it's under 8, I think you're going to do some sort of rally at that point. So just be mindful of that. So if you made this far, I do appreciate you. Go ahead and drop a like. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.